Welcome to Finnish Made Easier. If you're a complete beginner to Finnish, then you're in the right place. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about the basics of Finnish grammar. I remember when I was starting in Finnish, it was hard to find simple videos on just how Finnish grammar works. So that's what I wanted to start with today. I might make some videos later about things like pronunciation or vocab, but I want to start today with just the basics of grammar to make a simple video for everyone. So today we're going to start with something that's kind of foundational for a lot of Finnish grammar called verb conjugation, which is kind of a complex word for not too hard of a thing. This means that we change the form of the verb depending on what noun is doing it. So, for example, we do this a little bit in English too. If we take the word to walk, for example, that's a verb. And if we say I walk, then we have a different form on the word to walk than if we say he walks. Now, I walk, he walks. With he, walk has got an S on the end of it. That's what we call verb conjugation. So walk and walks. And Finnish does this a little bit too, that when we have different pronouns or nouns that are doing words, it changes a little bit. So a good example of this is if we have the word to be in English, which is olla in Finnish, then we have in English to say I am and you are. We can see this is another great example of this, that am and are significantly different, and it only changes based on who is doing it. I am or you are. You might be familiar with the Finnish equivalents of these, which is minä olen and sinä olet. And so, once again, just like how am and are different, olen and olet are slightly different because there's a different person doing it. So what we're going to talk about today is how we know how to change this olla to olen or olet and how to do that with most verbs in Finnish. This video is going to be kind of part one of verb conjugation. We're going to really simplify it down today, but you'll still be able to do probably about 90% of verbs by doing this video. And then once you're comfortable with this video, you can move on to part two and learn all the rest. But this will give you a really, really good foundation on how to do most words. And so there's two rules like I put here. The first thing we have to do is find the stem. Second thing we have to do is add the ending. So what does that mean? Well, if we look at these, minä olen and sinä olet, there's kind of two parts to these. Both of them have a similar start, the ole, and then they have their own little ending. So both these can be split up into these two parts. Ole is the same in both, and then they both have a different end. The first part is what we call the verb stem. So each verb has its own stem. So olla, you can see the stem is ole. And then depending on who is doing it, we're going to have our own ending. So we'll talk a little bit more specifically about these. But first, I'm going to talk about how to find our stems, how we get from olla to ole. And as you see, we have kind of these four rules. So I'm just going to go through each of these rules and talk a little bit about them. First, I'm just going to erase the board real quick, and then we can get right into it. All right, now it's erased. Now we can go through some of these rules. So our first rule is if it ends in vowel A. You might notice if I have this V here, I'm not talking about an actual V. When I write V, I'm talking about vowels. When I write C's, I'm talking about consonants. And vowels are basically the same in Finnish as English. We've got A, E, I, O, and U, as well as there's three other vowels in Finnish. They're all kind of in this word suira. We got the Y, the O with the dots, and the A with the dots. The Y makes a different sound in Finnish than it does in English, but these are all also vowels. We got A, E, I, O, U, Y, and then the O with the dots and the A with the dots are both, or are all vowels in Finnish. So any of those are going to be this V. Everything else will be a consonant, which I'm going to write C if it's a consonant. But that being said, if it ends with a vowel A, so for example, the word puhua, this means to speak. If we want to find the stem of speak, so we can put an ending onto it, we use this rule. Vowel A, what we do is we get rid of the A. So I'm going to write drop A. So if it ends in a vowel A, we take off the A. So puhua will go, for example, to puhu. Now we'll talk a little bit more about what the endings mean and which one to use in a minute, but I'm just going to show you how to put them on. So now that we have our stem, we can just put any of our endings right onto the end there. So say I want to add this N, I can just say puhun. Now it's important that we're doing it onto the stem and not onto the normal version of the word that you find in the dictionary. You can't say puhuan, you have to say puhun. That's kind of the purpose of finding these stems, is when we have these normal versions of the word, we can't add any endings. So when we want to add an ending, we have to go puhun, not puhuan. So that's for any ones that end in vowel A. Our second rule is words that end in DA. So we have like the word suera. Now suera doesn't end in vowel A, ends in a DA. And if we can't really just get rid of the A, we'd be left with a D at the end. We can't really add something if it ends in a consonant already. So this one has its own rule. If it ends in DA, we're going to drop the entire DA. So suera, for example, we're just going to drop that whole DA and we get sue. So relatively simple again. Now we can just add any endings onto this. We can't say suedat or anything, but we can say suet if we're wanting to put an ending on. And again, we'll get to the endings in just a minute after we learn the stems. Our third rule is vowel TA. This one's also pretty simple. If we notice it doesn't end in a vowel A, doesn't end in a TA, but it does have vowel TA, like haluta, which is to want, then what we do on this one is we just get rid of the T in the middle. Drop T. So haluta goes to halua. You might notice that all of these start off ending in A, vowel A, DA, vowel TA, consonant, consonant A. All verbs start off ending in A. And this one will always continue to end in A because we're dropping the T. So don't think you did it wrong if it still kind of looks like a verb halua. If we drop the T, you did it correctly. So haluta goes to halua. So if I want to say, let's say I want to add this MME, I can't say halutamme, but I can say haluamme. For this last one, consonant, consonant A. This is words like tulla, which is to come. We see it ends in consonant, consonant A. Doesn't follow any of these other rules. This one has two steps, but they're still pretty simple. First step is to drop the second consonant and A. Then we will add E. So that means with tulla, first we'll get rid of the second consonant and the A. So that would leave us with like tul. And then we will add E. So tule. So again, if I want to add an N, I don't say tulan, I say tulen. And that's all of our stems. So now, with any of these, we can add our endings. And almost all words will fall into one of these four rules. Like I said, in a later video, we'll talk about a few exceptions to this, but almost all words fall into these four rules. So you take any word, you look in the dictionary, then you just put it into this chart, then we can add our endings. You might notice consonant, consonant A is what our word olla falls into, which is why we have like ole for olen and olet. So that's kind of an interesting thing. But let's talk a little bit more about our endings here. So you see I kind of listed them out here. Got I is mina, you is sina, so forth. These are our different pronouns, and each of our pronouns have their own little ending. I'm gonna erase this real quick. So for mina, we add an N, sina, we add a T, and then han is a little bit special. This one I wrote DLV. These ones aren't the letters we add. This means double the last vowel. So what that means is we look at our last vowel on our stem here. Let's use tule for an example. If I want to say han tule, what I do is I look at this last vowel and I just double it. So I can say han tule, for example. Or if I want to do, let's say puhu, I want to say han puhu, then again I can just add another U, han puhu. And so we just look at whatever pronoun we're using and match it. So mina puhun, sina puhut, han puhu, me puhume, and so on and so forth. It's pretty easy. We can use it with any of them. And just make sure we're putting it on the stem. We don't say he halutavat, we say he haloavat. We don't say te tulate, we say te tulate. So that's really important. But that's really all there is to it. It's really simple like that. So now I'm going to change up the board a little bit and we're going to do a few practice examples. Okay, I switched up the board a little bit, condensed our little chart here a little bit, and I put up our 4 examples. So what we're going to try to do with these examples is to say, I do these things. So these are kind of their dictionary forms. We got juoda is to drink, puhua to speak, pestä to wash, and korjata to fix. We want to change these to say I. So I drink, I speak, I wash, and I fix. If you want to try it on your own, if you think you already understand, then feel free to pause the video right here and you can try them out on your own and I'll explain them afterwards. You can see if your answer matches. But if you haven't paused the video by now, I'm going to go ahead and explain them. So let's start with juoda, to drink. If I want to say I drink, the first step we have to do is find the stem. So I can look at these rules and we see that this one ends in a D-A. So it's not vowel A, not vowel T-A, not consonant, consonant A D-A. So it's rule number 2. With rule number 2, all we do is we drop the D-A. So that leaves us with juo. Then, since we're saying I, we can look at mina. Mina, the ending is an N. So all we do, now that we have the stem, is we can put that right on there. So mina juon is our correct answer. It's really easy. The next one, puhua, to speak. We want to say I speak. Then we have to look at this. We notice that the ending on here is a U-A, which is a vowel A. So for this one, we just take off the A, which gives us puhu. Puhu. Now we can add our ending. Just like before, we're talking about mina, we're going to add an N. Mina puhun. So again, really simple. Just find the stem, add the ending. Let's try this one, pestä, to wash. This one does end in a T-A, but it's not a vowel T-A. We got S-T-A. So that makes it so our rule is consonant, consonant A. S-T-A is consonant, consonant A. So what we do for this one is we drop the second consonant and A, and we add E. So pestä, get rid of the second consonant and A, that gives us kind of pes, and then we add E, pese. Then once again, if we want to say mina, then we just add an N onto the end. Mina pesen. Last one, korjata, A-T-A, that's going to follow into vowel T-A. So we just drop the T, which gives us korja. Make sure you have 2 A's here. And then we can just add on our last N, because we're saying mina. So mina korjan is I fix. And it's as easy as that. We can also, if we want to say different people are doing these things, of course, you can practice this on your own as well. We can add different endings. So if we want to say you, we could say sina puhut with a T. Sina puhut. If I want to say we drink, I could say me juomme. If I want to say they fix, I can say he korjaavat. It's really easy. We can just match whatever one of these pronouns we're using with the ending. And it's as easy as that. So now you can do most verbs in Finnish. Once you feel comfortable doing this, you can try to form a lot of your own verbs. And then once you feel really comfortable, you can move on to my next video about verb conjugation, which will get into a little bit deeper rules, some exceptions. And once you be able to do that, you'll be able to do any word in Finnish. And it's really easy, honestly, once you just break it down like this. But leave any questions you have in the comments below. I'll try to put a little condensed version of these words in the video description, so look out for that. But we'll see you in the next video then, and heippa!